Welcome into this week's edition of the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Again, I'm your host, Adam Haley. We are now into the year of 2017. Winter sports well into their conference play, getting ready for postseason, if you could believe it or not, about a month and a half to 2 months away. And the spring sports, even though it's January, they're getting geared up. Baseball will be starting pretty soon, softball into February, men's and women's lacrosse. We're going to talk about two of the newer sports that happen in the winter and into the spring months on tonight's show when we talk about some bowling as well as men's volleyball. Before we go into those interviews, let's tell you about some results that's happened within this past week. Men's and women's basketball, they've had a busy week. They had to play on Monday over in the bright lights in the big city of Charlotte, North Carolina because of a snowed postponement against Queens University. The women on that afternoon defeated Queens 70-60. The men ended up falling to the third-ranked team in Queens University 103-101 in overtime. Then they had to leave Charlotte and make the short trip down to Anderson, South Carolina. That's where they were Wednesday evening, taking on the Trojans. The ladies went into that matchup, now nationally ranked 9th in the nation. They knock off Anderson, who was in a tie for second place in the conference, 67-58. They are now 14-0 on the season, one of only a handful of teams. I think it's 6 teams left in the nation that stand undefeated. Should make note, in that contest against Anderson, Josie Harding went off again. 18 points, 23 rebounds. She becomes the first LMU basketball player in a career to have 3 20-plus rebounding contests. So congratulations to Josie, and keep it up as they continue on. They've got a matchup at home this Saturday against Catawba, and we'll tell you a little bit about that a little bit later on. We mentioned the men went to Queens. They ended up losing that contest. They rebounded Wednesday evening against Anderson, winning that one 94-77. In that contest, Luquan Choi set the new South Atlantic Conference career record for most three-pointers hit in a career, so congratulations to Luquan. We're going to talk men's volleyball, as we said, later on this evening with head coach Danis. They started off their 2017 season in Bristol, Tennessee on Tuesday. They ended up losing to King in that matchup 3-0. It was supposed to be the third matchup of the season, but due to snow, ended up being the inaugural match for men's volleyball. But as we said, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on tonight's show. When we come back, we're going to talk some men's and women's bowling with head coach Slowinski, and that's when we return here on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy wants you to know you have a choice where to receive physical and occupational therapy. We take an individualized approach to treating people of all ages. Our therapist's goal is to assist all patients by reaching their pinnacle performance in school, work, and play. We have state-of-the-art equipment such as our Alter-G anti-gravity treadmill, used to rehabilitate injuries and pain throughout the body's lower extremities. Contact us for an appointment at 423-869-9923. Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy, 362 Catalpa Avenue, Harrogate.
Whether institutional case good or architectural woodwork, Nolan Products Incorporated of Knoxville has been serving East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and Southeast Kentucky since 1958. From concept to finish, Nolan Products custom builds to the highest quality standards to meet your facility specifications while using only the finest materials available. Nolan Products has been serving and meeting the needs and requirements of general contractors and architects in East Tennessee and surrounding area for more than 55 years. Nolan Products Incorporated, 912 Forsyth Street Northeast, Knoxville.
Are you looking for efficient, compassionate, and comprehensive health care for you and your family? If you are, visit Lincoln Memorial University Medical Clinics in Harrogate and New Tazewell. All healthcare providers are faculty members of LMU's DeVos College of Osteopathic Medicine and are board certified in their specialty. Multiple specialties available are family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, OBGYN, geriatrics, and osteopathic manipulative medicine. Locations at Harrogate and New Tazewell. Most insurance plans are accepted. The University Medical Clinic is here to serve you. Call 423-869-7190 for an appointment.
It's the Old Town Grill.
The Old Town Grill is a special place where you bring more than family, more than friends. Bring a hearty appetite, because at the Old Town Grill, you'll never walk away hungry. A delicious change from the ordinary. The perfect place to bring the entire family. The best food and plenty of it. Join the fun and treat your appetite to something special.
It's the OTG.
The OTG is the place to be.
Welcome back into the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Now joined alongside by the men's and women's bowling coach, Coach Slowinski. We're inside of Hillcrest Lanes. Coach, first off, we've seen you before on the Athletic Report, but first off, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Railsplitter Athletics Report. We're going to talk about the whole bowling process going forward as it's happened, that you've been in part of the process and moving on into the spring schedule. But first off, since you've been here, kind of talk about how you got the men's and women's program off the ground.
Well, one of the things is to try to establish a culture of excellence that we want to have and build on into the future, so we're known when people were recruiting players and the current players when they go out on the road, either bowling on their own. We had several players bowling in the Team USA trials last week in Las Vegas, trying to qualify for Team USA. We want them to have a representation of LMU that means something specific. So the first thing always is to start with a team culture and build from there. We focus a lot on world class and excellence in the classroom and on the lanes in the weight room in conditioning. So it's what we do and how we do it every day. So from my perspective, as a new program, that's fundamentally the key to building a strong nationally competitive program, is to start with a culture. Then you have to look at scheduling. With a men's and women's program, my goal is to try to be with the teams at all times. So I'm looking at trying to not have any scheduling conflicts. Fortunately, my graduate assistant was a player that I recruited in high school when I started the Weber International University program. So I recruited her. She's the GA, so she has a good working understanding and trusts me. I trust her. It's a great part of having that in place with the cultural aspect. But I want to have the ability to not have conflict. So our fall was very men's schedule heavy, and then the women's is very schedule heavy in the spring. And that's the challenge. We have a USBC, United States Bowling Congress, our national governing body. This is where we compete on the men's side in those events, and then with the NCAA. It's a challenge, but scheduling it right. We are going out and bowling the best teams every weekend that we bowl. You want to make sure that we have a chance to go in the direction of competing for a national championship and winning a national championship in the future.
Tell us about your background. This is not the first time you've been a bowling coach. I mean, you came in with an expectation already with this program coming off the ground.
Yes, I mean, I've been technically a certified coach since I was 17 years old. I'll be 50 on Monday. So it's been a long road from a player to a coach, and I started a program at Weber International. We went to the national semifinal in our first year. That was a pretty exciting moment to do, to build something new and work really hard and make it a national contender. I've also had a lot of international experience. So I came back actually from being an international coach, coaching in the Pan American Games, South American Games, World Championships, European Championships. So that experience certainly, one, helps with the recruiting side of things and also with the programming side of things. So like any other coach, you want to utilize all of your experiences. In bowling, there's a lot to it. We have an invisible environment. Even though you see the lane, you don't see the structure of the pattern, side to side, front to back, height-wise, the volume. You have to learn to interpret ball motion. We have to drill our own equipment to match the person's release characteristics as well as to their grip. We also incorporate a lot of sports science into what we do, from both the physical, biomechanics of bowling. There's a lot to the sport that most people don't really understand.
Coming from the international standpoint, what drew you to Harrogate, Tennessee? What drew you to Lincoln Memorial to become the first coach?
Certainly the vision of the institution. Matt, the athletic director, his vision for what his role is in building world-class athletics at LMU, the vision of the board in building, growing and evolving to become world-class. That's my motto of my life and what I do professionally. So I felt very strong that they were going to give me the support that I need to have success here. I mean, it was great working internationally. I mean, I was living in the center of Budapest. So that I would only leave that type of environment with a supporting network that I feel would give us a chance to be successful at a national level, not just fill numbers, but to actually give us a chance to win.
Now, you walked into a unique situation here with Lincoln Memorial. A lot of teams, not only just at LMU, but at other institutions, when they start a new program, they got to worry about not only fielding the teams, getting the coaches, and then building the field or arena or something. You walked into a situation here with Hillcrest Lanes. They had to do some remodeling, had to do to get it up to code, but at the same time,
locker room.
But at the same time, you walked into essentially already having some lanes in your first year.
Yeah, most new programs, a lot of programs don't have lanes on campus. Some do, but many programs have to look locally. But the management here is very supportive. Bobby Stanley is very, very supportive of our program and has allowed me to be very independent here with drilling bowling balls, whether doing lanes like I just did. I'm able to put the patterns that we need for practice. Sometimes I'll put 10 different patterns out for us to bowl on in a single practice session. So from that standpoint, the management here has been outstanding, and it's another component and variable to help us move forward. So absolutely, it's only 1.5 miles, 2 miles from campus. It's a perfect location. The environment, the lane surface material is one we see a lot on the road. So it is definitely helping us prepare for tournament play.
Now, a lot of teams or a lot of different sports, like volleyball will go, and if they go on the road, they'll play a Friday, Saturday. Basketball
Yes.
plays like maybe a Wednesday, Saturday. Bowling is weird and different in the spot where when you all go, you go to a tournament and you'll play a number of teams in a weekend.
Yes, this weekend we have 13 matches. So we're leaving tonight so we can go halfway to Jonesboro, Arkansas. Then we'll have a practice session tomorrow afternoon. Normally that's what happens. You go Thursday afternoon early, you have a 2-3 hour practice session on site with the lane conditions you'll have. Then Friday we have what are called Baker matches. That's when you have 5 people bowling a single game together. So the first player bowls the first frame and the 6th frame, the second bowler bowls the 2nd frame and the 7th frame, and so on. So we, in the first day, Friday, we had 5 Baker game matches. So you do 5 of those this weekend. Then on Saturday we do traditional team games with 5 players, where everybody bowls, one person bowls a full game. We'll bowl 5 of those. And then on Sunday we'll have 3 matches with best of 7 Bakers. So it's the first team to 4 wins. So it's very interesting. I mean, 8 of the top 10 teams in the country are competing this weekend.
Your men's program, their schedule a lot was in the fall.
Yes.
Talk about how they progressed through that first season.
Well, we had, with the exception of 2 tournaments, I felt like we had a very strong outing. In our first major event, we were 21st out of 42. It's a respectable showing for a young team, all freshmen. Just in the spring, the same way. They have that experience from the fall, but going in. We also were 9th out of 31 of the black and orange, and we beat one of the top teams in the country from last season. So we really feel strong that we're building the experience needed. There's so much to learn about the sport, just going through the motions. The men compete on Saturday, Sundays, where we bowl team games on Saturday primarily, and then Baker on Sunday. Postseason is all Baker. So I'm real happy with our evolution. We have a roster change that we have to deal with and moving forward, but the guys are committed to being here and giving it all and working towards winning a national championship in the future.
Now your women will take the spring, and they're in a different situation than the men because they are actually a conference affiliated, not with the South Atlantic, but I believe it's the East Coast Conference. Talk about them going forward.
Well, we've been very fortunate and proud of the fact that we had 2 different players earn East Coast Conference Rookie of the Week honors, Haley and Sabrina. And I feel like everybody's evolving strongly. We have a transfer student from Tulane. We have permission, the exemption, a one-time exemption rule to the transfer, so she's going to be able to compete in the spring. And that's going to give us, she has 2 years of experience at Tulane. So we have a veteran player coming in that's going to help us with maturity. And the young women that have been working hard since the beginning, we're really starting to see a big improvement of their hard work, and I expect good things to happen. Our last tournament in Wisconsin I was very proud of our effort. We almost went 500. We were 5-7, but we've nearly beaten some of the best teams in the country only several times by 20 pins, a small amount. So we're very close, and I'm hopeful with the veteran player coming in, that's going to help us win a lot more matches against top teams. And then the key is to get them moving forward. We have 6 events, and then our conference championships in March during spring break. So our hope is to be competitive and contend for a title.
Now, when you're playing this week, and you said you're getting ready to leave, where will you all be?
We were going to Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Okay.
Arkansas State, the #1 team in the country, is hosting, and there'll be, I believe, it's 18 teams. Of the 18, 8 of the top 10. And then next week, 28 teams, where most of the top 20 will be in Kutztown, Pennsylvania.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck. I'm sure we'll talk to you as we continue to go on through the spring, and hope good things here in the first year.
I appreciate that very much.
All right, we'll be right back after this
Thanks.
with more Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Make K&K Metal Sales your only stop for all your residential and commercial metal building needs. For the past 23 years, K&K Metal Sales has covered the tri-state area with quality custom roofing and siding with many grades, gauges, and colors in stock. If you're looking for complete steel or wood building packages or steel or wood trusses, K&K Metal Sales can help with that, as well as heavy-duty custom carports. Great folks and great prices. Stop by K&K Metal Sales located at 6986 Cumberland Gap Parkway or call 423-869-4261.
Welcome back into the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Now joined alongside by another first-year program, joined alongside by Danis of the men's volleyball team. Dan, welcome to the Railsplitter Athletics Report, and thanks for being on.
Well, glad to have me.
All right, let's start very quickly. Men's volleyball, I think around the university and around the community, we know about volleyball with the women's volleyball team and how they've been enriched. But men's volleyball is going to be a little bit of a different game. From what I've seen in some of the different, I think we all played King a couple nights ago, watched a little bit of that online and seen some of the practice. This is more of a fast-paced sport than maybe women's volleyball is.
Yeah, it's definitely a more intense sport. The women's game is a lot of, I want to say, finesse, so to speak, whereas the men's game is, you know, I'm going to throw the ball up, my guy's going to beat your guy, we're just going to ram it down your throat. And so it's a very fast, very powerful game. It's exciting volleyball.
Tell us about your previous experiences with men's volleyball before you came to Harrogate.
So, my previous experience with men's volleyball it goes back several years. I want to say 10 years ago, where I coached back in my home city of Las Vegas, Nevada. I worked in the boys' high schools. I coached at the high school I went to, the JV, and the assistant coach for the varsity program out there. Since then, you know, I moved to Tennessee in 2006, and men's volleyball is not really too big out in this area, at least not yet. It's starting to grow. There's quite a few club teams in the Nashville and the Knoxville area that have now added boys club. And so the past several years I've been involved with more of the women's club and the girls club volleyball. So other than playing myself in a lot of men's tournaments, grass tournaments, sand tournaments, indoor tournaments, you know, coaching wise there's just not that big of options available to you at this moment in the Tennessee area.
What's the difference between now taking over and really starting a university men's volleyball team as opposed to the clubs?
Well, the university, you know, the club, in regards to the club wise, you know, it's something about just getting out there in your local area. Whereas the university, you know, you're going out, reaching nationwide, internationally sometimes. So I was hired back in February, and I had a good amount of time to kind of get LMU's name out there, get out there recruiting. And the guys that I have on the team right now are guys that want to be here. The guys that want to be part of something special, growing a program, being a part of a lot of firsts. So, you know, there are those, it is tough because I am a very incredibly competitive person, and want to make sure you get the right guys to fit your system to be competitive for a first-year program. And, you know, statistically and over the years, first-year programs, you know, have a rough first year. And so that's something that I'm really trying to do. I'm trying to change that culture. I'm trying to culminate a lot of things in regards to being competitive and, you know, us wanting to get out there and compete now instead of waiting into typical 2, 3, 4 years until you're competitive.
We were talking bowling in our first segment, and something I brought up with the bowling coach was when he walked into the position, it's not like other sports like lacrosse when we built it. He didn't have to wait on a field. He didn't have to wait on a field house. He didn't have to wait on a building. He walked into Hillcrest Lanes. When you got hired, you walked into Mary Mars where there was already a volleyball court, and that had to help your recruiting.
It did help. It helped a lot recruiting-wise. You know, the facility's a great home environment. One of the first things I did is when a school started in the fall is came and watched one of the very first home match for the women's team. And it gets pretty electric in there. And so that's a great selling point for the university for our home matches. It's a small, intimate environment, and we're looking forward to this Saturday, especially with our first home match, packing up both sides of the gym, whereas the women's match, or the women's game, it's only one side of the gym. So we're looking forward to a loud, rowdy atmosphere. And you know, with that facility, with Mars Gym, it's, like I said again, it's a nice little home facility. We'll
talk about the team in just a second, but you've already mentioned you got your first home opener this weekend. I know the team had to be very excited to get that inaugural game underneath their belt, and you had a trip to Tigerville and a trip to Franklin Springs last weekend, and Mother Nature put a halt on it.
Man.
So the excitement, I know, was probably building. You all were probably ready to hit the bus or the van, and then you probably got the call and said, hey, we're not going to be able to make that. What was it like to get that team so pumped up and have to deflate it knowing you all still had a game on Tuesday?
Yeah, it was definitely heartbreaking, that's for sure. Of course, ultimately what matters is player safety. And so we didn't like the decision, but we understand also. But also it's kind of a little bit of a blessing in disguise, to be honest with you, because we still have some things going on with personnel-wise that, you know, in the end, looking back at it, I'm thankful it kind of happened, to be honest with you. But yeah, we were ready to go. I mean, we were looking forward to that match. We were doing the scouting report weeks beforehand, and so being able to have our first match against our in-state rival, the only other team in Tennessee that offers Division I, II men's volleyball, was also exciting in and of itself. Lot of first game jitters, that's for sure. There was a couple of rotations out there where we had 5 freshmen on the court, and so that, you know, it's a learning experience for the guys. Now that we got that underneath our belt, we have another home match tomorrow night, Friday night, and you know, I'm looking for growth. You know, our past couple of practices this week has been something to where we built upon what we learned in Tuesday against King, which King's a great team. They're picked to finish the top. We're one of the top 3 teams in the Conference of Carolina. So that was a good first match for us. King showed us a lot of things, and we saw a lot of things in ourselves that we do need to get better at. And come this coming Friday, I feel like we have a great opportunity to build upon ourselves.
So I think that's one thing I like about you as well as other coaches around here is they don't shy away when it's schedules. You had King on your schedule. We've known King's had a men's volleyball program for a little bit, and like you said, they picked one of the top teams in their conference. You went to Bristol, took on one of their top teams, maybe not had the showing that you wanted out of your squad, but I know that you're going to learn from that, get it ready for Lees McRae in the home opener on Saturday.
Oh yeah. No, it's one thing I want to do, especially when it comes to our program and the D1, D2 level, is you know, we want to schedule hard. We want to get Lincoln Memorial's name out there. You know, I'm working on scheduling a West Coast trip for next year, going out and playing some power programs. And, you know, hopefully UCLA, and, you know, get some other teams out there. But we want to schedule hard because the only way we're going to get better is if we play tough teams. You know, we got some tough Division III teams that we're playing, some tough NAIA teams that we're playing. So again, ultimately was in order to get better, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And so that's something that we were. I was definitely looking forward to in our schedule for this year.
You keep mentioning with men's volleyball, there's not really divisions in the NCAA level, correct? Like one.
Well, the 1 and 2's combined.
Okay.
Division III's by itself, and then you got NAIA.
Yeah. Does that make it a little difficult knowing the South Atlantic Conference doesn't have men's volleyball and the divisions are kind of put together when it comes to scheduling games?
Does it make it difficult? Here's one thing I'm extremely excited about, especially the men's volleyball game, is all the coaches in our sport at our level all want to help each other out. And when I was hired and when they found out that LMU has a men's volleyball program, I had coaches reaching out to me saying, hey, we want to schedule you. We want to help you out. And so, you know, it's going to be exciting because there's chances for us coming in the next several years that we're looking at to playing big name programs. You know, we would love to be able to play some MIVA schools, Ohio State, Lewis, Loyola, some EIVA schools, Penn State, George Mason. Conference Carolinas, we're already playing, I think, 6 of the 10 schools in that conference. And, you know, there's some good independents out there, Coker, Aldous and Broadus, which is coming to our house Saturday. So, you know, it's very, very competitive at our level, and which makes it, all in all, even more exciting for a future for men's volleyball.
We got about a minute left to go in the segment here. Give us the pitch. You got your home opener Saturday. Tell us about the team and why people should come out and support the team on Saturday.
So, our team, we got a bunch of high-flying athletes. We got some guys that are very energetic, you know, and that's something that we learned from this past Tuesday is that we do got to show that energy more often. And King fed off of their home crowd a lot, and so if we get a nice solid home crowd in our gym this Saturday, I believe it's really going to feed our guys. And I could promise you one thing, you're going to see a lot of high-flying, some big plays, some great digs, some high-pressure serves, and it's just going to be all around. It's going to be an exciting match. So LMU, you know, East Tennessee, come on out, check us out. Love to show you what we have to offer, and I guarantee you we won't let you down.
And what the start time on that is 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock this Saturday, Mars Gym.
Mary Mars Gymnasium. We know what it's like for volleyball. I'm sure it's going to be rocking once again. Dan, I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll keep up with you throughout their season, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, we'll be right back after this on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.
If you enjoy lakes, boating, mountains, and great food, you'll love Norris Landing Marina in Claiborne County, Tennessee. Located off Lone Mountain Road, Norris Landing Marina has these benefits for you. A 170-slip marina with seasonal rental slips, rental pontoon and pleasure boats, vacation cabins and cottages, a 23-space RV park, and Jimmy's Place Restaurant. Great food and casual dining in an on-the-water setting. Contact us and make the Norris Landing Marina your enjoyment destination.
Juggling my family schedule is a full-time job. Between school, dance practice, work, there's little time left to worry about much else. That's why I use real-time banking from Home Federal Bank. With real-time banking, I know that when I make a deposit, the money goes straight to my account. No delays, no waiting, no wondering. And I get to focus on what's important.
Real-time deposits, real-time access, real-time banking. From Home Federal Bank, always within reach.
Who's next?
Me.
Wait.
This week at Food City, get fresh ground chuck, $2.99 a pound. Rare Golden Delicious apples, $2.99 a bag. Kraft mayonnaise, $1.99, and more.
Value every day. Food City.
Established in 1982, Dixie Roofing Incorporated of La Follette has been the industry's leader in commercial roofing throughout Knoxville, Tennessee, and surrounding counties for more than 30 years. From medical facilities to office buildings and educational institutions, Dixie Roofing has the experience, expertise, equipment, and know-how to handle roofing needs of any commercial structure, big or small. Dixie Roofing is also on the web at www.dixieroofing.com. Dixie Roofing Incorporated.
Welcome back in as we finish off this week's edition of the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Let's tell you about some things that's going on this weekend around LMU athletics. Track and field, they're one of the newer sports here on campus. They'll be in action. They'll be up in Johnson City, Tennessee at the ETSU Track and Field Invitational. That's a Friday, Saturday matchup, so good luck to that squad as they go forth into Johnson City on those different events. Men's volleyball, as we talked about, they're on the road on Friday against Lees McRae. They'll be back at home on Saturday. That's a 1 o'clock scheduled start. If something was to happen and something gets changed, stay tuned to LMURailsplitters.com for all the stats and everything that goes around all these different sports. Women's bowling, as we talked about, they're going to be on the road this weekend. They're over in Jonesboro, Arkansas, maybe one of the best traveled teams we have here on campus. They'll be in Jonesboro, Arkansas for the Midwinter Invitational. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday tournament for women's bowling. So good luck to that squad as they go forward. And also men's and women's basketball, they'll be at home this weekend taking on Catawba College. It's a 2 and a 4 o'clock start. The women again will have the start at 2 o'clock, the men at 4 o'clock. LMU Sports Network will have coverage of this contest starting at 1:40 on radio. That's 91.3 FM WLMU, as well as television. That's LMU Community TV. Or again, you can go to LMURailsplitters.com and find the live video link for that particular contest. Big time for both these teams. They're both making a push toward March, toward the NCAA tournament. The women's still undefeated, as we said, 14-0 going into this contest with Catawba College. That's all the time we've got here for this week's edition of the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Again, I'm your host, Adam Haley. I want to thank our guest, and until next week, we'll see you here on the Railsplitter Athletics Report.